Hello, friends. Welcome to Great People Interview Series. And today, let me have the pleasure of welcoming Hazel. Hi, Hazel.
Hi, how are you?
Great, great, great. Well, friends, if you have heard this voice, yes, you probably did if you were listening to Sydney Radio, um, and she was hosting a small business show over there. So we have somebody who is high on energy and always full of life. Hazel, now she is back into the UK. So um, let's try to make this a radio channel, should we?
Let's
Um,
try.
well, let's enlighten our audience, Hazel, with your perspective on training in general.
For me, training brings about continuous learning, and I'm very much about you can't stop learning. You learn from when you are a little baby, learning to talk, walk, all those sorts of things. We go to school, we keep learning. Sometimes when you get to adulthood, that learning starts to stop. And that is a very sad thing because as humans, there's a lot of things that we could be doing. We should be continuing to grow and learn. And I don't think that stops at any age. So I think training is kind of getting there and finding out the right way to teach these people the importance. So
Yes, absolutely. And that right way, let me take that a little further. And if I can ask, there are so many courses around and training programs. How one can choose what's right for me?
yeah, that's a very good question because there are a lot. What you need to do is find the right way that you learn, right? So some people are very auditory. So I know so many people that sit and listen to a podcast. So they'll put their headphones on the train and just literally listen to the downloaded podcast. And that's their way of retaining the information. Some people are very visual. And other people are very hands-on. So if you're already working and in a place of work, you need to think about the ways that you're going to learn the best and make sure that you are, speaking to your manager and saying, I really and truly need to do something that's hands-on. If you tell me, I'm probably not going to retain everything you said. So it's important that you kind of find the right way that you learn. I also think it's the level and the length of the training because sometimes you can be in a day's training and the day's training is brilliant if you've got interaction, activities, people engaged and all that sort of thing. Otherwise, bite-sized learning is the way people learn a lot better. Listening to 5-minute chunks of information, we can retain possibly a lot quicker.
Wow, fantastic. So, friends, Hazel has been professionally into development of people's skills, and the lots of areas around training that she has been. So tell us something about empowering your circle, the name and what you do with it.
Okay, so everybody, in my opinion, has a circle. We are following it as we move around our careers. When you start, wherever that starts as a graduate or even before that, you usually go into something you really love to do, right? You're in your brain, that's where you want to be. But as most people would know, careers are not like a straight line. Maybe they were a long time ago, but now they're not a straight line. They kind of zigzag here and you do a pathway and you go somewhere else. All the time learning because you're taking the bits as you move forward in every part of your career. But it basically becomes a circle because as you go through your life and you get to the outer ends of your career or the back end of it, you start to think about what is it that makes me tick? What's my love? What's my passion? And a lot of times you'll find that it relates to a hobby or something you started with in your career, but somewhere along the line, it's kind of blurred and it's not so black and white anymore. And now you're back. So you've kind of followed your circle around, doing lots of amazing things in the middle, learning lots of things that you will always retain. And I think it's the same in our personal lives. So for me, it's always about empowering. I love to make sure people feel empowered. But the word circle is the fact that if you think about everything we do in lives, our network circles, our personal circles, our friendship circles, everything is a circle. And I just kind of felt that was really good. And that means that in my job, people can slot in and listen to my podcast, or they can slot in and do training with me, whatever fits in their business or career.
Wow, fantastic. And what kind of trainings that you do for people to connect to you?
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, I think I'm not a techie trainer. If anybody asks me to do anything very technical, that won't be happening. I'm very much about personal and professional development. Anything from people who are like, I really don't know how to be productive, through to what's emotional intelligence? I don't know what it is. People say I need to look into that and become more self-aware at work. It could be that someone looks in a mirror and thinks, can I really do what I'm doing? So it could be that they're facing imposter syndrome, but also into management, like introduction to management and leadership. But the one thing about that has always meant, because I've been an employee, so I know when managers and things get this lovely training, when you're a team, dynamics can change. So team dynamics is a very big thing for me as well in terms of training and making sure people understand how to communicate effectively, and that sort of thing. So it's like literally things that fall under the banner of professional development, because that's what makes me tick.
Amazing. And going back to people paying attention to their professional development and taking on trainings. Uh, yes, on one hand, I think people don't prioritize. People think, well, it can happen tomorrow. Um, and really, their problems today can be better solved if they had the training today rather than, putting on to tomorrow. But I think the life has become so busy, it's very difficult to find time for your own trainings. So how do we solve this problem for people? Because on one hand, yes, they don't prioritize, but if they want to prioritize, they don't feel they have time.
Yeah, it's true. In my opinion, we have to look at our time and where we're being most productive. That would be where I would start, especially if you're looking at it from an individual perspective or looking at it from a solopreneur that works for themselves. If you look at it from those two perspectives, it's very important to look at what your day looks like, your week looks like, what your month looks like, and slot yourself some time in so that you are literally going, I need to advance myself. I don't know how to be productive. Okay, so what I really need to do is find out how to be productive, whether that's, having an official training session, or you do like a bit of a search on Google and kind of go, how do I be productive? Whatever that means for you, but you need to set time aside. You need to say on maybe it's a Monday morning, to make myself feel really good and energized, I'm going to learn something new. Right. So you're going to set yourself that time to do it. And it has to be in your diary, but it also means you should be creating a SMART goal that says, this is my end goal. This is what I want. And I think it's really important to set that priority yourself, to say, I'm going to do it. Like business owners, if it's related, if what you're doing to learn something new and the trainings that you're doing, it's also a business expense, right? So you can expense it back for your business because it's helping you. Some people don't know that. They just think, I don't know if I can afford it and things like that. But what it's going to do is propel you into a different way of thinking. It's going to energize you. It's going to make you feel inspired to keep moving forward. And so I think that's really important for individuals. For businesses, a lot of the time they think it's a luxury. Why do we need this for our staff? They're all working well. We have a problem. And they only tend to look at it when there's a problem. And that could be that this problem's been there for 6 months. And then they suddenly go, oh, now we might need to do something. And I think by then, the value add that you could have given to the staff is no longer relevant. That staff member might be feeling really frustrated, underwhelmed, they're not performing anymore. So there's a lot of things that come from not getting somebody trained and upskilled. Please don't see training as a luxury.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me go to the other side of this table. And there are people who understand the importance of training. They are, business leaders. Maybe I'm talking about small to medium business at this point in time. And they think, yes, my team needs training, time management, uh, team building skills, how to work in a team, be a team player, etc., etc. But when you ask, they themselves think that I don't need training, right? Especially when you look at the C-level people, they think that they know everything. Sometimes it is, uh, I don't want to use the word, but it just feels that they feel that I don't need training. And how do we get through to these people and tell them that, look, you do need training?
Yeah. It's a hard one, isn't it? Because middle management are the ones that tend to get all the training. The people that sit in the middle of a corporation, they
Yeah.
are usually the ones that receive the training. Not so much the people down the bottom, and definitely not the people at the top. But I think what's important is that because things are changing all the time, now we've got AI, Copilot, all those sorts of things. Leaders need to understand how they work. And also, one of the best leaders that I've ever worked with was very instrumental in understanding what each one of his departments did, right? He knew. So in the future, if you went to him and said, when you were working with us and this thing happened, well, actually, it keeps happening. We need to think of a way of learning something new, of being able to, show something new. And he was very instrumental in sitting in on all the trainings, right, that happened. So he was possibly one in a very few. But I think what's really important is that leaders just need a refresher. So I would never pitch something to a C-level as you need it, as like a whole new thing.
Yeah.
My way of pitching to them would be, it's a refresher. That's the way you have to look at it. You've already got the skill sets, you already have the ideas, you're probably one of the better leaders or whatever, but everyone needs a refresher.
Yeah.
Everybody
Or,
needs a way of, oh my gosh, I didn't know that existed, right? Which is what you get sometimes when you talk to C-level
yeah.
management. You look at them and you think, okay, I'm delivering this material, and suddenly they'll go, oh, a light bulb moment. Oh, didn't know that was there, because somebody's so used to doing it their way for so long and it
Yeah.
works. But what they don't know is that something has come in and superseded it. And so
Yeah.
therefore they're learning, even if they have gone in there with this whole blinkered, I'm never going to learn anything, you will find that they will walk away with at least one nugget they didn't know before. And they might not ever tell you they've walked away with that nugget, by the way,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you can see a light bulb sometimes moment in their eyes and you kind of go, oh, yes, they've taken something away.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, that's amazing. I think today's conversation was really an eye opener for many who are thinking training as a luxury, who are thinking they don't need training, and they're thinking, well, there's something for me tomorrow. For them, I think today's conversation with you was really, really amazing, useful. Thank you, Hazel, for your time. And well, I know you have a long day ahead and you have to travel to East London.
Yes, I do. But that's all right. As long as the trains are working, I'll be all right.
Well, I think they need training too.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and it's been amazing meeting you as well today. So thank you for the
Thank you.
opportunity.
Same here. Thank you, Hazel. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you.